Hello there, I'm Gloria Makarenko. Well, we are finding ways to mark Christmas and celebrate community. This is Our Vancouver. Coming up, meet the local drag queen who brings all the seasonal songs to life. And craft fairs may be canceled, but a pop-up shop still brings us the baking. But first, one businesswoman's recipe for building community, one warm soup at a time. Now, feeling connected and being part of a community are vital through this pandemic. There's one restaurant owner in Vancouver's West End that is doing all she can. Ofra Sixto owns Ofra's Kitchen on Denman. Ofra, it's so great to meet you.
It's wonderful meeting you too, Gloria.
Now, you were in the childcare business before getting into restaurants, so why the switch?
That was a dream of mine for many, many, many years. When I got here 30 years ago, my brother and I owned a small joint somewhere on the east side. And I've always wanted to get back to it, and opportunity just happened, and here I am.
Here you are. So what's on your menu?
So I have vegetarian, vegan, Middle Eastern, mainly Israeli cuisine, authentic. The food is healthy, fresh, wonderful. People are really excited coming here and being a part of this community hub, I call it. It really isn't a restaurant, it is my home, and people are basically welcome to my home. Everything you see here, the pictures on the walls, the furnitures, they're most of them are from my home. These are my paintings. And this is my kitchen right there. Ryan will show you. And people are coming into my home to have my food.
Oh, love. Now, I understand before the pandemic hit, you had already started a project. Get a soup, give a soup. Just how does that work?
That's correct. So what happened is I have seen, before the pandemic happened, I have seen on the street something I haven't seen before because I was sheltered in Richmond. That's where I used to live. And I have seen many homeless on the street, and that struck me like an injustice, right? A social problem. And I was so worried about the people outside. So I decided to do something about it. So I just gave out food throughout the day to various people on the street. And then one day I decided I would like to make the community a part of the solution. Even though it's a very small part, I still see that it is a part indeed. And so I decided to create a project that is called Get a Soup, Give a Soup. So if you're hungry, you come here, I'll give you a meal. It doesn't have to be a soup. It could be anything. And I have people who come here and just ask for my famous falafel, or sabich, and then with these $5 that they add to their bill, the customers, then homeless people will get. There'll be more people who will get this blessed meal, if you may. There's some people who this is the only meal they have all day, and I have seen their eyes when I give them the meal, how thankful they are and how grateful they are. That they are on the street does not mean that they are not people, they're just people, and we all just one paycheck away from being there. This is my philosophy, and I stick with it.
Well, I'd like to hear more about that philosophy, though. Why is it so important to donate and give food where you can?
Look, Gloria, giving is a part of living. Giving is what makes the society a society. If we all live for ourselves, then who are we and what are we good for, right? Or just for ourselves. But once you give, my mom, God bless her soul, this is really what she installed in me. She would have like her last pennies, and she would give them to somebody who have less than her. And I've been growing up looking at it and inspired by it. And all my life I have given, and justice was like a very important part of my life. Um, so it was just something I grew up on and became a part of me.
Hey, I think you have a customer in there behind you. I don't want to interrupt. If you want
Yeah.
to, you have to seat somebody, go ahead.
No, that's fine. They can wait. This
Uh,
is Yossi. I know them all by names.
I can see the windows behind you there. Now you've cheered them up. What did you do there?
So sweet. So what happened in this window? Ryan will take you with. Oh, by the way, before we go to the window, if you could look at the wall here, this is a wall of love, a wall of stickers. I call it a wall of love. These are all the people that donated the $5 to get a soup for hungry people. And I started with this one, Gloria. This was the first one
Wow.
right here, right?
Yeah.
And look at it. I mean, it's spreading. People go all the way down and on this wall right here, and I love it. I love it. I love how people care. People really do care. If you give them a chance, they give.
Okay, now you have to show us the window before we let you go.
So this is the window that I decided to create as a part of the season. I thought that the the street could use a little bit of light and a little bit of fun. And I asked a guy who came in, one of my customers, to do it. And he did it within a couple hours. And then I went from store to store in this neighborhood asking them to do the same. And I even offered some of them money to actually to pay for it and do it. But it wasn't very successful. So this is this is the only window that it is actually decorated, I believe, on that street. But I won't give up. I keep pushing. I pushed the guy who painted Nicholas, which he's really really talented. I pushed him to go around businesses and kind of force them to do that.
Well, you found obviously a way to cope and contribute and I guess more
Yes.
importantly, connect community. Why is that important to you, this community
Um,
connection?
You know what, Gloria? I have been in Vancouver for 30 years and I have lived in many, many areas in Vancouver, in Richmond, the west side, the east side, and the Kitsilano area. And I've never felt the sense of community I feel here. People here really care. They know you by name. We know each other by name. I go out on the street and I say, "Good morning, George. Good morning, John." You know, like so many such an interaction here between people that I've never seen before. And because many of us are really without families in Vancouver, and I've seen lots of people here that live here alone. The rest of the families outside of Vancouver. This is our closest family. I'm lucky enough that I have some family here, but most of my family is back home in Israel. So this is my family. These are the people I connect with every day. They would pop in their head and say, "Hi, Ofra, hang in there. Have a good day. Don't give up. We want you here. We love you here." And that makes my heart sing and that makes me stronger.
Ofra, you have really brought some light into our lives today. Thank you so much, and we wish you all the
My
best of the
pleasure.
season.
My pleasure, Gloria. Happy holidays, everybody. Keep giving.
This is our Vancouver.
Now, we love this part of the program. It's when we get to showcase a number of the photographs that have been sent in by you, our audience. And this week, we received so many wonderful images of birds. Marian Alcasab was walking around Lafarge Lake in Coquitlam and saw this lot of wood ducks. So many beautiful colors there. Thank you so much, Mariam. Rick Snyder was along the waterfront. He saw this wonderful scene of the food chain in action. A sea lion is gulping a salmon and a seagull is flying in hoping for some scraps. Wow, a lot of action in that one. Thank you so much, Rick. And finally, Mario Lamb walked around Burnaby Lake and spotted this solitary blue heron. Just a lovely moment. Thank you, Mario. And do send us more if you're out and about with your camera over the next couple of weeks. Just email your photographs to us, bcphotos@cbc.ca. bcphotos@cbc.ca. Well, photography is one safe pandemic hobby, but many people have taken up other new interests. Suppliers of houseplants say the combination of being stuck at home and wanting to spruce up spaces has resulted in the strongest sales in years. And as the CBC found out, it is driving the cost of the plants through the roof.
I've never experienced it until the last year, really since I've been here. The demand on tropicals is crazy right now.
This one here is actually one of my favorites that I acquired during this pandemic times. It grows locally in Cebu City, and that's where my mom is born. That's her home city. So that's why it's one of my favorites.
There are a lot of people joining the hobby, and then they see the big collectors with these beautiful rare plants, and they just want the same. It's similar to iPhone drops or, Supreme limited edition, where people want to line up and get the limited item. It's very Instagrammable. People like to post it on Instagram and get a lot of likes, because I think plant community, they're very supportive of each other.
We're all trying to get the next new thing, and largely it's influenced by social media. You're seeing them pop up on social media and you're like, can we produce that at a large scale for our customers?
It still kind of goes down to plants that offer more. Plants that have interesting color schemes, interesting veining, unlike a nerve plant where there's multiple different colors so people can start collecting different things. Some of these things, like this particular philodendron gray, we didn't know even how popular it was until we took a picture and put online and people went crazy. We kind of stumbled upon this one. So I'm watching those websites and I'm following those things on Instagram just to see what's popular, what do I see that will match up to something that people are looking for.
Well, CBC Vancouver is so proud to be paired up with you, the audience, in our annual food bank donation drive. And this year really was one for the history books. We raised more than $2.5 million. So here's a little recipe gift to you, our loyal fans and generous spirits. It's a way to make CBC pancakes. Coming up, tropical fish are very fast at adapting to new environments. Unfortunately, climate change is even faster. Johanna Wagstaff will explain right after the break.
In order to pull off the largest artificial evolution experiment to date, you would need a large experiment. And that's why scientists from the University of Norway gathered in total 20,000 zebrafish to ultimately prove that their evolution is not able to keep up with the warming ocean. Take a look, though, at these pictures. The actual scientists gathering the first generation of zebrafish. They were caught in the wild and then bred based on their ability to withstand rising temperatures. The experiment took 3 years, which equaled 6 generations of zebrafish, and only those that adapted best to those rising temperatures were allowed to breed. A lot of work to chase around thousands of species to measure their individual temperature and their thermal limitations, making sure no outside factors came into play. After all of this, the fish were only able to withstand a temperature rise of 0.04 degrees per generation, not nearly enough to keep up with warming waters. And waters are warming at an exponential rate. The global oceans are taking in more heat than the rest of the world, 90% of the heat. In fact, a new study showing that oceans have warmed 0.77 degrees Celsius in 2019 than the entire 20th century average. And a very recent study showing that ocean warming rate is accelerating by 450% in the last 3 decades when compared to the previous 3 decades. Now, all of this, when it comes to evolution not keeping up with climate change, isn't unexpected, but this is the first time that scientists have been able to quantify the lag in evolution when compared to climate change. And when the breeding cycle of the zebrafish is so short, just 6 months, imagine how much harder species with longer breeding cycles will have. The Greenland shark breeds only 150 years, not likely to keep up with evolution. But we now have the hard facts to back it up, and that's always another piece in the big puzzle. And now you're Science Smart. If you have a science question on your mind, send me a tweet and I'll try to get it answered.
Thank you so much, Johanna. You are watching Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now, in regular years, you would have seen sweet Thea cookies and cakes and loaves at all the big craft sales. But this pandemic has the owners in a new place. Sweet Thea has a pop-up shop on Main Street, and Thea Mercer owns Sweet Thea Bakery with her partner, Lori. Hello there, Thea. How are you?
Hi, Gloria. I'm fantastic. Thank you.
Well, Christmas is a pretty big deal for bakeries, I know. So can you show us some of your signature holiday treats?
Absolutely. Typically, we start baking in September. So we start with our fruit cakes here. So we have the dark fruit cake with and without marzipan. We have our Christmas puddings, our Lebkuchen cookies, our honey hearts, kipferl, and of course, Christmas without gingerbread men. Never.
Oh, it all looks so tasty. Now, Thea, what makes them, your recipes? How do you put your special stamp on them so that people just want to keep coming back year after year for that particular taste?
Well, that's the thing. We've been making them for years now. So I think my love for the food especially is but the tradition, all of these recipes have a very rich tradition. So our Lebkuchen, for example, I've been eating that since I was a child. When my grandmother would receive packages from Germany at Christmas time. So I've been eating those since I was a child. And then I had the good fortune of meeting George Wagner when I went to culinary school. And he passed on his recipe to me.
Can you pick something up for us just so we can get a closer look at it? It's a little bit in the distance there.
Yeah. So these are Lebkuchen. They are essentially a type of gingerbread. And they have quite a bit of nuts in them. Marzipan, ground walnuts, citrus peel. and a spice that we actually get from Germany every year. We also have the honey hearts, which is another type of Lebkuchen. They are more what you would call a honey cake or a honey bread. So they don't have the nut content, but they have the spices and the honey, and they're dipped in chocolate. So these are two very traditional, very tasty.
Oh, it looks amazing. I can only imagine how great it tastes. Now, I'm just thinking, everybody's had their own experience through COVID. When the pandemic first hit, I mean, what happened to your bakery business?
Well, like everyone else, we had to shut down just with the uncertainty of what was next, what we were supposed to do. So we only shut down for a short time, fortunately. The farmers markets, though, is really what rescued us, because it became an essential food service or source for people to come and get food. So we were able to sell through farmers markets. But it's just been a really interesting time. I mean, lots of ups and downs, never really knowing from week to week. But at the same time, it's been a fantastic time to get to know all of our local customers and get lots of feedback and support.
So, and why did you decide to do this, this pop-up version of your bakery?
Well, because all of our Christmas craft fairs that we normally attend between November and December were canceled. Obviously, no large gatherings this year. So we just, with a bunch of our fellow vendors and artisans, decided to get together and do a little shop together.
Well, it looks like it's pretty busy in there right now, which is great to see. What are some of the best sellers are you seeing?
Oh, well, the best sellers for us or for our other vendors? Sorry.
Whatever you like.
Oh, well, I would say fruitcake, definitely. And all of our baking, but also, our fellow vendors with their jams, honeys, and maple syrups and nuts. It's just lots of festive goodies here.
I see some stolen in the background as well. Okay. Thea, we wish you a wonderful season. Take good care, okay?
Thank you so much, Gloria. You too.
I'm Mark, and this is our Vancouver.
If you're looking for safe ways to entertain yourself and your household over the holidays, the National Film Board has a collection of films called Ho Ho Holidays. You can find animated shorts and nature scenes from all over the country. Just go to their website, nfb.ca. And you can still see St. Paul's Holiday Light Display. You can choose to walk to the hospital and view in person, or go online at the Lights of Hope website and view them from home.
Hey, I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music, here to let you in on some of the best in new Canadian holiday tunes. Every year there's a brand new wreath of songs that blow in celebrating the season, and believe it or not, 2020 is thankfully no different. Check it out.
Someday you will find me where I am meant to be.
Yeah, that's the lovely Jen Grant from Halifax with a beautiful new tune called Downtown on Christmas Eve. It is from her new holiday album called Forever on Christmas Eve, which is a really nice mix of original and traditional holiday songs with a kind of classic production that feels as warm as your favorite Christmas sweater. Okay, now Toronto band The Good Lovelies are no strangers to Christmas music either.
They're singing Deck the Halls, but it's not like Christmas at all. 'Cause I remember when you were here and all the fun we had last year. It's fine. The snow's coming down. It's fine. I'm watching it fall. It's fine. Lots of people around. It's fine. Baby, please come home.
That's The Good Lovelies, who are usually on tour right now with their annual holiday show. Obviously not this year. Instead, they are doing it virtually. 10 different shows right across Canada and around the world. You can see Australia and the United Kingdom in there. Details at goodlovelies.com. And there you can also check out their new Christmas song.
Christmas time's coming, Christmas time's coming, Christmas time's coming, and I know I'm going home. Snowflakes are falling, my old home's a calling, tall pines are humming, Christmas time's coming. Can't you hear them bells are ringing, bringing joy to all? Hear them singing when it's snowing, I'll be going back to my country home.
That's the Good Lovelies with Christmas Time's A-Comin'. That's their version of the Tex Logan song, spreading holiday cheer. Now, have a look at this.
With an axe upon their shoulder, dreaming big of something good. But Christmas can be made as new as footprints on the ground.
That is gorgeous. That is the new original holiday song by Canadian piano virtuoso Chili Gonzalez. And that tune is called The Banister Bow, and it features Feist on pretty much a perfect vocal take. It is from the new Chili Gonzalez album, A Very Chilly Christmas. Check out his live Christmas special on December 23rd with Feist and Jarvis Cocker from Pulp and other special guests. And those are the songs that you need to add to your 2020 holiday playlist for this season. I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music. Stay safe, happy holidays, and I'll check in with you again next year.
Coming up, finding hope and holding on to it. What Canadians are doing to get through the pandemic.
Hey, everyone say Merry Christmas. Santa Claus comes to Chinatown. Ho, ho, ho. Everybody, Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
You are watching Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now here is something we all need, a great big coast to coast to coast pandemic hug. As 2020 comes to a close, here's a look at some of the things folks are doing in this festive season, just to remind us that despite the pandemic, there is hope.
The road has been dark and it's been long. And while it's not over, not yet, there is this, the magic of light and the hope that lies in it.
I got a lovely email saying she was a neighbor and loved the tree, and she felt like she was living in a Hallmark greeting card. So that was very nice.
Nora Campbell wanted to create a sense of joy at a time when it feels more precious than ever.
Well, because people are isolated and they're fearful for themselves and for their relatives. And so it's very important to have occasions where we can communicate somehow.
With the help of neighbors like Darren Everett, a community Christmas tree was planted in their local Toronto parquet, followed by an open invitation to decorate it together.
You know, it's wonderful. When the note went out to the neighbors, everybody chipped in towards the Christmas tree. Just a great, overwhelming kind of response from everybody and just a good feeling. And you know what, this morning when I came out, there was a little girl, she was probably 1 year old with her mom, and she was trying to reach for an ornament. It was just beautiful. It's a lot of fun.
Finding the beauty in the moment. It is the challenge in what has been a prolonged siege, a relentless test of faith. Across the country, there's a collective attempt to keep holding on to it.
I think now, after this many months, it's important to push even harder, and especially going into the holiday season.
Michael Cunliffe was inspired by the idea of an advent calendar. With donated pallets and a can of paint, he built a gratitude tree for himself and his community in Oak Bay, British Columbia.
I can't give out chocolates to everybody, but how can I turn that Advent, that 25 days leading up to Christmas, into something positive to the neighborhood? And so that's where I brought this Advent tree in and thought if I could put some positive messages out there daily for the next 25 days in hopes that it would bring a smile to someone's face for at least those 25 days, even one person a day, then that is my little part that I can do to help spread some joy.
For those who can't get to the light, the city of Surrey is bringing it to them. This mobile light display is making stops at long-term care facilities. Residents can't go home for Christmas this year. If only it could stay a while longer, says Lillian Warlemont.
I wish it would stay till Christmas. I told them if you run out of places to bring it in Surrey, come back before Christmas. Even New Year's would do.
Small, powerful acts of kindness. In the shadows of the pandemic, they not only stand out, they tower.
It makes my heart feel full of love. Just thinking about making a kid happy makes me feel happy.
The idea of a love box started 4 years ago after Sophia Megan overcame a battle with leukemia. It grew into this, an army of volunteers who assemble hundreds of boxes for children in hospital every year.
Yeah, this one here, right?
They're filled with toys, books, socks, anything to help brighten their stay. For Sophia's mom, Nicole Georgiev, this time it means even more.
It makes it even that much more important because we know families are in the hospital with just one caregiver. The toy places are closed. Nobody can bring anything in, so we know how important that these boxes, not just a box of toys, I always say. It may look like that, but it's a box of hope. It's love. It's showing that, hey, somebody cares about me.
Someone who cares and who delivers on that promise.
Ready? Slowly, slowly.
A few days later, a truckload of boxes arrive at a hospital in East End, Toronto.
You're gonna fill it up.
Susie Trekos has been a volunteer from the start.
Oh, it's so magical. I can't control my emotions today. It's so magical. Look at all the love that's being dropped off at the hospital. So good.
To give with no expectations in a time of unprecedented need.
Jesse wanted to know if we can deliver to them. They're just down the street.
In Milton, Ontario, restaurant owner Melanie Bastian and her crew are preparing hundreds of meals to feed the hungry and, she says, to nourish souls.
I just want people to know that there's somebody in Milton that loves them. Somebody in Milton that cares if their belly's full and their family's taken care of. So when they come, it's not just about feeding them, right? It's going that extra step to let people know, like, by the way, I care about you. So you can bag that.
Melanie had the idea years ago, and with the help of community groups, a promise was made that no one in Milton goes hungry on a Sunday. People can pick up as many meals as they want and a bag of fresh groceries. Volunteers deliver to those who can't get here. These days, more people can use the help and the reminder that this too shall pass.
We want to also make sure that people know that, like, there's another side, right? The other side is coming. We just have to keep trugging along, and as long as we do it together, we're going to get through it.
It doesn't show signs of stopping.
To get through it, with a few laughs too, Dr. Ben Chan made this video for his online holiday staff party.
Oh, the faculty, I miss you so.
He wanted to lighten the mood and to give himself a boost too, as he keeps looking for the light.
We can see the light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccine, but at the same time, there's still going to be, weeks or months before we have some semblance of normal. And so there's still a lot that we have to go through. If we can just hang on for a bit longer.
And in this final stretch, this Winnipeg school gets the last word. With a song he wrote and recorded, Jared Lahotsky helped his students create an animation project.
So what's the best version of me?
It's all about being the best you can be and seeing the best. even now.
The bigger message behind the activity in itself is, it's okay to have challenges and ups and downs, and it's okay to go through those hard times. I think it's important to be open and honest about that. But it's, especially during times like now where anxiety and stress is really high in our society, just reminding ourselves to keep doing the best that we can and stay positive as best as we can.
I liked the writing and drawing a picture and working with my friends. It made me feel really good, like it's something to do together.
It made me feel good, happy. Just because you're down doesn't mean you can't go up.
What goes down will come up. That could be said of these dark days too. Back at the neighborhood tree, night has fallen, but the lights will shine all night. Joanna Rimiliotis, CBC News, Toronto.
Coming up, a tribute to a musician, a mentor, and a gem of a human being who we lost to COVID-19. You are watching Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Makarenko. Now here's a story about joy and inspiration. A biracial drag queen in Vancouver has been recreating album covers of Black artists to highlight Black culture and history. Kendall Gender started the project back in February, and for Christmas, Gender honored the queen of the holiday season. Just take a look.
My name is Kenneth Wise, and all I want for Christmas is you. So we shot 4 in the beginning for Black History Month, and then it became such an overwhelming success that I decided to continue it on. Because as someone who is half Black, half white, I sort of get, pinholed into a lot of different boxes, not necessarily being Caucasian enough, not necessarily being Black enough. And this project has really allowed me to pay homage to these Black artists and really get to know that side of my heritage and that side of my culture. Especially, in a social climate such as 2020, we are in the sort of precipice of the biggest civil rights movement of our generation. So to continue on and be a voice within this movement is so important to me.
Now here is a tribute to one of the Vancouver citizens that we lost to COVID-19. Anton Kolsty died December 8th at the age of 71, but that's not his story. He was also a musician, a mentor, an intellect, an ally, and most importantly, a father and husband. Joel Ballard tells us more.
Leave a legacy of impact. It's a lesson Julian Kolsty learned from his father's life.
What matters most is the way that you've touched the lives of your community and the people around you.
To some, Anton Kolsty may best be remembered as the lead guitarist of the psychedelic rock band United Empire Loyalists in the late 60s. Part of Vancouver's 4th Avenue counterculture.
They avoided recording singles or albums because they didn't want to sell out. That wasn't part of the culture.
instead opting for long jam sessions and playing major bills, like opening for the Grateful Dead at the Pender Auditorium. But ever the intellect, Kolste's passion for music collided with academia. He lived and worked with Indigenous communities in Bella Bella and Bella Coola along BC's coast, focusing on their music and culture as he completed a PhD in ethnomusicology.
He built a relationship and a connection and gained the trust and the respect of the elders there.
In the 80s, Kolste was hired as a First Nations counselor at Carson Graham Secondary in North Vancouver.
In our experience in school, oftentimes we faced racism, blatant racism, because we're Indigenous, and it was very frustrating, and he made it safe for us to come here and enjoy our experience at high school.
Kolste developed trust with students and elders of the Squamish Nation, learning their music and culture, becoming fluent in their language and its preservation. In return, he was honored with the name Skauk, the Raven.
I will always consider Anton one of my first mentors who helped shape me into the leader I am today.
Kolste's impact never more evident than in his passing, when the condolences began to pour in, especially from former Indigenous students.
The things that they have to say about my dad, about the work that he did, and about the care and the time and the attention and focus that he gave them, words can't describe what it means to me.
But Kolste's career was cut short on Father's Day 1999. He suffered a major heart attack, leaving him in a coma with a brain injury.
It affected his mental capacity, his physical capacity, social capacity.
After 20 years in an independent living center, he was moved into the Capilano Care Center long-term facility in March. But in the last month, the facility was hit hard by COVID-19. Kolste caught the virus.
By about 9 a.m. on Tuesday the 8th, he had passed away.
I'm a native student counselor in North Vancouver. I teach Squamish language.
When Julian thinks of his father, there's one memory that beats as strong as when he was a child.
The way that he'd pick me up and he'd hold me and he'd have me close to him, and he was very affectionate, and he was never afraid to show love. And I remember his touch.
A Squamish paddle song in honor of Anton Kolste's journey into the spirit world. Joel Ballard, CBC News, North Vancouver.
These are some of the images of the week that were captured by CBC Vancouver's Ben Nelms. His unique eye has brought him so many awards and honors, and he is truly a gift to work with. And that's all for Our Vancouver for this week. I hope you can join me weekday afternoons on CBC Radio 1 for On the Coast. Goodbye for now.